Five. On roll.
NFT Art Berlin is strange and weird and fun because it's epic. NFT Art Berlin is big. It's been awesome to see how many people have turned out and just had a good time. Feels like a great party. My name's Phil Moen. I am a signer on the Bright Moments multi-sig, and I help lead our product development and governance. Bright Moments is a Web3 organization, and so we have a core team, which is a group of people who operate much like a startup. We're fairly centralized, we make decisions as a group, but we also have this kind of core community outside of the core team nucleus, and we look to them to help us make certain decisions about the future of the organization. And so governance is just a fancy way of saying how you get a group of people to help you make decisions about where everyone should go and what we should do. Right, I think the decision to go to Berlin as our third physical city was very important to us. We could have gone to other places. We could have gone to Miami, we could have gone to Austin or San Francisco. And Berlin was a challenge in that way, and I think it's been very rewarding to see how it's turned out. I heard this yesterday by someone who lives here. Berlin is poor but sexy, is the term that was used. And that feels like a good description of Bright Moments sometimes as well. Crypto has a tendency to be very capitalistic, and Berlin challenges that. I think Berlin is a combination of many things. I mean, it's a melting pot, and after New York, it was very much seemed like it could be all about the money. There was a week there in New York during NFT NYC where every major NFT project and person in the crypto industry was in one place, and the prices were through the roof, and everyone was just ecstatic. And I think the word that I've heard the most is money in New York City. Money, money, money. And I think the word that I've heard the most in Berlin is culture. Since day one, we have cared about the art. That is what we're trying to do. This generative art is a blend of money and culture, and sometimes those things clash, and we live right at that intersection. In Venice, it felt very organic. We tapped into this growing excitement around NFTs and crypto. That was the zeitgeist in 2021. I think now that we're a year in, we're seeing that other communities that we visited are in different phases of what we experienced in Venice last year. In many ways, Berlin is where Venice was last year, but they're also so much further ahead, right? We've had a year of, I think, the tooling and the education. So when we arrived here, we weren't doing all of the community building work from scratch. We found existing communities that we've been able to tap into and grow with, whereas in New York and to some extent Venice, it felt like we were doing that grassroots growth from zero. And I expect as we go to different communities, and we're already seeing this in London, there's going to be a group of people who are there ready to receive us, rather than us having to kind of muster up that first 5 or 10 group of early adopters from scratch. I thought a lot about what our role is once the minting phase of a community is over. As a DAO, we want Bright Moments to what we call progressively decentralize, which means that more and more of the decision-making and ownership is pushed outside of the core team to these local communities. And the way that we've tried to do that in Berlin is by setting up a structure that allows the local community to self-govern, to have enough seed funding to really have a real shot at building the Bright Moments chapter here in Berlin, but without necessarily the heavy-handedness of what has existed in previous iterations of this. Like the Web 2 word is franchise, and this isn't that. This is so much more than that, because we have the tools now to allow that community to govern without necessarily all of the trappings that come from it. I think if we do this right, the Berlin chapter will have their own culture, they'll have their own way of doing things, but it will still benefit from the Bright Moments brand, international presence, global community.